Hello and welcome to Added Time episode 7. Tonight we are joined by a very special guest. We will also be covering all the action from the Champions League, the Europa League, the Premier League and the FA Cup. It's going to be crazy. This is Added Time. Good evening, I am the Mad Dog, Mike Angus, your host this evening for Added Time, episode 7. And as I mentioned, we are going to be joined by a very special guest in just a moment. But first of all, we do have a co-host with us this evening, and it is the absolute powered for legend, that is John Scott.
Oh, mate, you've built me up so much there that I can't get to that level given the last 7 days of supporting my club. So, but thank you anyway, Mike. Glad to be here, buddy.
Great to see you as always. Yeah, been a bit of a different week for Tottenham this week, but we will get onto that shortly. Tonight, as we've mentioned, we are joined by a very special guest. He is the CEO of the Invasion Group. So that's Wrestling Travel, Americamp, Camp Thailand, and he is also the Associate Director of Tranmere Rovers, the team he's supported since childhood. He is also a World Grammar alumni and Leeds University alumni. We are very honoured and privileged to be joined by the Super White Army's own Lee McAteer.
Thank you very much, guys. What a wonderful introduction. I'm not used to something so nice like that, to be honest.
Oh, Lee, it's absolutely excellent to see you, mate. And first things first, how has lockdown been treating you? How are you getting on?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, Mike. On the 4th of March, I parked my car up outside the office in Manchester for a 4-day conference in New York City. And I've not been back since. I got stuck in the States, which was an interesting experience. I think I was there for about 4 months. And then, of course, the UK was in lockdown and there was hardly any flights that were coming back and forth. So I had to make a decision. I rang my old man up who lives in the Algarve and said, Dad, do you mind if I come and join you for a month? There's a flight into Lisbon. Do you mind? He said, sure, no problem at all. And I haven't left. I've actually got my own place in Portugal now. And yeah, it's been absolutely beyond crazy. And obviously with Tranmere getting to Wembley last week, I was desperately trying to get back, but Portugal been on the red list, no flights out of Portugal to the UK. So it's been crazy, but hopefully we're now at the end of the tunnel now and the light is in sight.
Yeah, oh, brilliantly. Well, that's great. It looks like you've got a brilliant tan, mate. That was something I noticed straight away. I was going to say as well, we've had so many fans of Tranmere Rovers contacting us with questions and stuff for you. So we'll move straight onto that in a moment. I've also managed to dig out a couple of Tranmere Rovers shirts so you feel at home with the old Wirral sponsor there on for you. A couple of classics there from the old Mad Dog wardrobe. So let me just tell the fans of Added Time, Tranmere Rovers obviously based on the Wirral in Birkenhead, and they're a big part of Merseyside football culture with Everton and Liverpool just across the water. But Tranmere flying the flag for the Wirral. Lee, now you've been there for quite a few years now. So what I'd like to know is tell us how you got involved with Tranmere Rovers and what you're doing with Tranmere at the moment. Let us know all about it.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, it goes without saying, to be involved with the football club that you're a fan of is anybody's dream, and I'm quite honestly living that dream. And I'm so fortunate that Mr. and Mrs. Palios allowed me to be a part of their wonderful football club, and it's a very privileged position to be in. And as you know, Mike, I don't do many interviews these days, but you persuaded me to come on, so here we are. But
wrestling skills came in handy then, didn't they? The old
Well, I've not done any media stuff for a long time, really. I think the last one I did was with Will Gavin on TalkSport, but probably because I was the easiest option. The fact that I was in the States on a better time zone for his extra time show, probably. But no, it was a real strange one, really. I think what happened was there was a piece on me in the Telegraph in which I got asked to my passions outside of the businesses I created, and I said that I was a Tranmere Rovers fan and I have been since I was knee high to a grasshopper. And one of the consultants for Tranmere at the time picked up on this, and they invited me to come to a game, and I guess the rest is history. It's first of all sat down with the chairman and the vice chairman at the River Hill Hotel, discussing a whole variety of things, and the little kid in me was like, oh my word, this is unbelievable, it's absolutely fantastic. And I just said to the pair of them, I said, if there's anything I can do to help the club, anything that's in my remit or power, I'd love to do so. And the rest is history, and loved absolutely every single minute of it. And again, I can't thank Mr. and Mrs. Palios enough for allowing me to be part of their football club. It's an incredible experience.
Yeah, Lee, I meant to ask, what is it like working with Mark Palios? Because he's such a character when I've seen him about and everything. And obviously, he played for Tranmere himself back in the day, didn't he? So, what's it like working alongside him?
I hope you won't get embarrassed by me saying this, but the man's a genius, and I don't say it lightly. He's an absolute genius, and the football club is so fortunate to have him. And he has this phrase in and amongst the club, and it's called "better never sleeps." And when he first told me that as to how he runs any business that he's part of or his football club, well, for me, that's exactly how I've always done all my businesses. It's the fact that it is better never sleeps. You're always trying to take things to another height and consistently achieve. But it's wonderful, and I've learned so much from not just Mark and Nicky, but the other associate directors as well: Martin Best, Ben Harrison, Alan, Mark Richardson, Mark Randalls, Tim McDonnell. Again, it really is pinch yourself type territory, and it's been a wonderful journey, and I truly believe that the journey's only just begun. I think Tranmere is very much on the way back up. We obviously got demoted. We certainly weren't relegated last season, that's for certain. And we should be in League One, but hopefully we're now on our way back to where we belong and beyond. There's some phenomenal plans behind the scenes for the football club, and it's in wonderful hands. It's a very exciting time to be a Tranmere fan, and being part of it is even better.
Yeah, I was just going to let you guys know. So as I was growing up as well, Tranmere is such an important part of the community on the Wirral. And I had a season ticket for a couple of seasons. I'm a Liverpool fan, admittedly, but Tranmere Rovers.
What against you, man?
When you're I know when you're a junior, the ticket prices were so reasonable, and with being the local team, I was always happy to go and support Tranmere as well. I wanted to bring John in and just ask John, what do you know about Tranmere Rovers, and how often have Tottenham come up against Tranmere Rovers in the past?
Yeah, we've had some meetings. I'll tell you where I know Tranmere from is the old Football Manager games back in the days, especially during the 90s. They were, for some reason, don't ask why, but I just like the name Tranmere. So I always used to take them on in the old games. So I knew a lot of their old players. And what the thing is, once you have that association with a club, even though they're miles where I live in Essex, you have that fondness to keep looking at scores every now and then, and they always come up. So, yeah, I mean, down here, obviously, Tranmere are not as well known around the London area, for a lot of younger fans, I'd say. But, I think I've got to say, and just to butt in a question here, I was going to say that recently I feel like there's a big turnout for a lot of lower league clubs, as in for fans, because I think they get that closeness more than what the Premier League offers sometimes, and it's more affordable. And if you're doing it as a family through generations, I think there's more of a connection. So I think it's coming back. I know a while ago people were saying, a lot of these clubs are going to be in trouble. Are they planning for the future? I think they've done a good job. Whatever they've done in the last 10 years, a lot of these clubs, they've obviously had a very much longer term vision of creating newer fans, because it is much difficult to do that in this climate, the way finances and everything else is. So my hat's off to all those clubs, and getting the local fans back for a change.
Well, that's it. I mean, what Tranmere offers, it's accessible, affordable football, and that for me is what football should be about. And what we do in the community is we're a real effective delivery vehicle for been able to do some wonderful things. We've just raised 50 grand as part of our virtual tickets and things like that, headed up by Ben Harrison, who's done an unbelievable job, absolutely incredible job. And that's what it's about. It's not just a throwaway phrase. We really are more than a football club, and we're showing that on the community side of what we do. And of course, we care what happens at 3 o'clock on a Saturday or whatever it may be. But the reality is, it's so much more than just what happens on the pitch. And you can see that clearly from what we're doing in the community, and it's something we're incredibly proud of.
Exactly, Lee. One thing I was going to mention is when I was younger, they had the community soccer schools as well every Easter holidays, or even the summer holidays as well. My parents had shipped me off to the Tranmere Rovers soccer school to give them a little bit of a break in the holds. And I know those things are still operational. And I believe the gentleman who used to run them was a guy called Steve. And I'm not sure, is he the gentleman who's working on the community project at the moment still as well?
Yeah, Steve in community, yeah. I'm surprised you didn't, why didn't you get signed, Mike? I thought you'd be.
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah. I don't know, they've obviously gone wrong somewhere. Probably, I don't think my football days didn't really flourish till I got to university. That's when I sort of actually started playing a bit more leading up to university, and then at university I played a little bit. But I'm still playing now, Lisa. If they need any help, give me a shout. I play up front or left wing, so let them know I'm there. I'll get back in training and get involved, definitely.
I'll speak to the gaffer and see if we can get your trial down at the club, right?
Yeah, definitely. Hey, that leads me on to my next question perfectly, because Lee, you actually are in the squad, aren't you? You're number 50, I believe. So tell us, how did that come about?
Well, do you know what? It's funny because each consecutive manager tells me that I'm not passing the fitness test, and I can't believe them. I don't understand why. But do you know what? It was really funny how that came about, to be honest with you. I mean, it was actually one of the things that started off with getting involved in the club. They were raising some money for the club, and I kept being tagged on social media about the fact that you could get a squad number, and I thought this would be absolutely hilarious. I mean, no one's going to believe that this is even possible. So literally, I was bidding for this stuff, obviously, for a great cause, and to cut a long story short, ended up winning. Gave a decent amount of money, which went to charity for the club, and ended up with number 50. And then every year, since I've been involved, every year I donate an amount of money to the club. And it's not just me that's done it. Lon Wallison as well, who's in Sweden, ex-football journalist, great supporter of the club, always brings over his Swedish friends, the Swedish Vikings, to come and see some of the games every year. And this year, some of the other associate directors have also agreed to get a squad number. But I've had some really funny instances. I mean, when we were playing Manchester United in the FA Cup, and I was getting tagged as if I was a player. And I've seen, and some of the things that I've been tagged in on social media about, they can't understand. I can't understand. Surely it's a given. This face and this build. Surely, why wouldn't I be in the squad? If nothing else, right back on the bench, I guess. But no, it's been a real good giggle for that. Really good giggle, and it's gone to a great cause. And it's just been really funny, some of the things that I've been tagged in, the fact that people actually think that I'm actually a squad member. But again, why I've not passed that fitness test, God only knows.
People are going to be questioning your stats and everything, Lee. They're going to be like, why is this man not playing for us?
Searching him out on FM now.
Football Manager, really, shouldn't I? I'm an underdog on Football Manager.
That's it. John Scott will be signing you on the old Football Manager this week.
Yeah.
And then Frisco flying straight in there. So your midfielder league's asking.
Well, I like to be. When I was younger, I was all right, but not so much now. Always like to go for an overhead kick, me, and obviously it would never be successful, of course, but always good fun.
Always the spectacular, my friend. Brilliant. And obviously Tranmere are riding high actually in League Two, doing really well. Another big victory against Exeter City yesterday, 2-1. 2 penalties there for who scored, Nugent and Lloyd. Do we have the League Two table at all? Let's have a little look. There it is. Look at that. Brilliant.
Good luck with that, Mike.
Yeah, no, I've already looked at it. I know the Cambridge United are doing well, but they've played a few extra games. So Tranmere can easily overtake them. And it's quite high. There's a couple of teams in there, but it's the top 3 that get promoted from that division, isn't it, Lee? And then the next 4 playoff in the playoffs, isn't it? So
yeah, top 3 automatically go up, and then of course it's the playoffs. So it's going to be a very interesting end to the season. We've got some games in hand. The Gaffer's got them playing really well. Fantastic team spirit. It's going to be very exciting running.
Brilliant. Yeah, 11 matches left to play, I think. Just have a little look as well. And you mentioned, obviously, Wembley last weekend. Now, I know you've got some cracking stories about Tranmere at Wembley. Unfortunately, they went 1-0 down last week against Sunderland. But, it was there's a lot of people locally who call it Prenton Park South now, isn't it, Wembley?
Absolutely. Well, we've been at Wembley so many times. I mean, it's been magnificent. It's been unbelievable. Well, especially when we win, of course. Maybe not so much when we lose, but I thought we were really unlucky against Sunderland. I thought the guys put out a fantastic performance, and one excellent pass from McAteer, and of course that ended up being in the goal that decided it. But I was really proud to be, first and foremost, a Tranmere fan of that performance, because I remember when we were up at the Stadium of Light in the director's box and watching us. I think we lost 5-0 that day, and it was tough to watch. So just seeing how much further forward we've come with that performance against Sunderland at Wembley, it was proud. Of course, we wanted to win, but it was a great performance nevertheless.
Brilliant. And in past Wembley appearances, Lee, I've noticed you tend to sit amongst the famous faces, don't you? Haven't you sat next to a few dignitaries in the past and some bit of celebrities and stuff?
Well, it seems that way. They obviously look at me and go, "Oh, that must be number 50 for Tranmere." But no, I've been very, very, very fortunate. The last 2 times I was at Wembley, I've ended up sitting next to Sir Trevor Brooking, and obviously, what he's achieved, absolutely phenomenal. And the first time that I was next to him, it was quite funny. It was like almost kind of like match of the day right next to you with some of the commentary. It was brilliant. But of course, one of our players, right, gets sent off so early, and I'm trying. Of course, we're in the royal box, and I'm trying to be as polite as I possibly can. And of course, the fan in me is wanting to go beep 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 beep. What's going on? And I just remember saying, "Oh gosh, Sir Trevor. Oh gosh," in the most polite way as I possibly could. And he turns around to me and goes, "Well, Sam, that's not the best start for Tranmere." and my old man was next to me, and literally he was saying a few things he shouldn't have done. I had to slap his leg to basically get him to calm down. But it was so funny because literally, and then all of a sudden we start the game starts to change, and then of course we end up winning. And I couldn't help but when we won, I kissed Sir Trevor on the cheek. I don't quite couldn't help it. Just grabbed him and kissed him, and I couldn't help it. The emotion completely took over me. And then the next year, of course, we're then against Newport in the final, and it's looking at me and going, "You better not do that again." And then randomly, I think it was 6 months later, I was at Stoke Park playing in a golf tournament, and so it was really, really good fun. There was who else was down there? Ozzy Ardiles, Tony Gale, Sir Trevor again. So of course, we're there kind of saying, "Oh, good to see you again. How you doing?" He was like, "You're not going to try and kiss me again, are you?" But no, he's a fantastic guy, and some really good banter. And he's someone that's been close with the chairman for a number of years. But again, it's pinch yourself type territory, and I'm so thankful to be given the opportunity just to be in that kind of atmosphere with such wonderful people. It's brilliant.
Oh, awesome, Lee. That's great to hear. And just before we move on to some questions we've had a lot of fans contact us who want to ask you a few questions. So I've got a few here that I'm going to put to you in just a moment. But just before we go to that as well, I was going to say Tranmere have some arch rivals who are also have a bit of a run at the moment. Tranmere have had some great results, but Bolton Wanderers have put together a good bit of a run at the moment. I think they've had 10 wins and 2 draws in the last 12 matches. So what are your opinions on Bolton Wanderers, Lee, and what's going to happen with them this season?
Well, I probably don't need to say much about from a fan's perspective. There's obviously a massive rivalry there. I remember
it's a great chance.
Well, I mean, there's obviously a massive rivalry there, but we've had 2 fantastic results against them this season, which has been brilliant to watch. But it's it's an interesting rivalry.
It certainly is. And for John, who might not be too familiar with that, there is it's quite a heated rivalry, and it's all good fun in the way of football. But anyway, let me move on to some great questions that we've had put to you, Lee. So I'll just read these off. I've got them on the sheet here. So first of all, Graham Fisher, who's a big Tranmere Rovers fan and is also a big wrestling fan as well, has said, how do you feel knowing a lot of people in the community have coped? Oh, here you go. It's on the screen. And survived the last 18 months due to the club. Phone calls, food delivery and general helps. It makes me proud to be a Tranmere Rovers fan. And are there more plans to help the community in the works? He then also went on to ask, could he have a free ticket for one of the games? But
get that if you don't ask, you don't get right.
So he wants to know what your plans to do in the community. And I've seen the great work that they're doing for the homeless and stuff. So I'll let you take that away, Lee.
It makes you incredibly proud. I think first and foremost, as a fan, to see what we've done in the community. Again, as I said at the outset of the show, it makes you incredibly proud to be a fan of the club. And it isn't just like I said, it isn't just what you see on the pitch. It's about what we do outside of that, and why it's such an important delivery vehicle to help the community and beyond. Obviously there's many people that deserve thanking for that, and I can't really take any thanks for that. I mean, I've supported it, don't get me wrong, but people like Ben Harrison, Dawn Tolsher, and there's a whole variety of people that have helped on the community side who have done an absolutely phenomenal job. And to be honest with you, I want to retweet on my social media every time I see something that comes up on the community side, because it just makes me so proud to be a part of that football club. And we're always looking about what we can do next in the community, and watch this space. There's always going to be something that we're looking to do, and also with little things as well in terms of trying to get the Tranmere brand out there with the murals, the Curtis murals that are all around the Wirral now. We're trying to get people more embedded into the football club. We're trying to get that next generation of fans. We've made a real concentration on Instagram. And now we're starting to do more stuff on TikTok. So we're trying to also get that next generation of fans, or SWA2 as we affectionately refer to them, into the club as well. So, and again, when we're seeing things on the social media, on the Tranmere Twitter, for if there's a baby daughter, a baby son born, and they've got some sort of Tranmere shirt on, or something that's just Tranmere related, it's really heartwarming. It's fantastic, because those guys are going to be the next generation, and we love doing anything we can for the kids and beyond. It really makes. It's funny because a lot of people say to me, the best bits must be about meeting the players or things like that. Well, actually, one of the things that I'm proudest about is what we do in the community. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And obviously, between ourselves and Sunderland, raising the amount of money that we did shows you what can be done, and why it's so important that football clubs within the football pyramid don't just survive but thrive, because if they don't, the communities suffer.
That's it. Tranmere have done such a great job in the community with food deliveries. And going on to another question as well, on a similar sort of subject, Peter Blackham, who runs Wrestle Island, has suggested, Lee, that it might be a great idea to do Tranmere at Wrestle Island, do a charity show for the homeless in Birkenhead 2022, Prenton Park. He's asking about it, Lee. I've been to a football stadium, Carrow Road, had Fightmare in Norwich for the night family, was brilliant stuff. I could see that happening at Prenton Park. What do you reckon?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because I don't know if people remember this or not, but I was doing some work with Jeff Jarrett, the WWE Hall of Famer, and we brought him to Prenton Park, and we then managed to create some banter with Jimmy Bullard and whatnot. And it really looked, I mean, genuinely, what we were trying to do was actually create a big wrestling show at Prenton Park, and we wanted Jimmy to fight Jeff. That was legitimately where it was at. But genuinely, Jimmy seemed really quite scared about this. And when he came up and did the Soccer AM stuff at the training ground with Norz and a few others, obviously, and then Norz, obviously, James Norwood, obviously took it then one step further by doing all of the gifts. I mean, let's just wonder where you got that idea from, Norz. But anyway, I spoke to you about that in the boardroom. But anyway, but it's something we really want to do. And again, we've made so many wrestlers aware of Tranmere Rovers, and of course all the good luck messages that we've had in the past from them. And I mean, I remember, again, for you wrestling fans out there, I was at Starcast with Jeff, and Jeff was wearing his Tranmere shirt, Jarrett on the back, and Nick Aldis, the NWA World Champion, came up to him and said, "Jeff, how is that a Tranmere shirt?" And he went, "Damn right it is, Nick, and I'm proud to be a Tranmere fan." And I was like, "Yeah, damn right he is, Nick. Damn right he is." And he went, "Well, that's pretty random." And then, of course, Wade Barrett being a Preston fan and whatnot. But sorry, Peter, to answer your question, look, open to all options, really, really are. And if there's enough people that want it, I'm sure I could speak to the chairman and see what his thoughts are. Maybe we can get the chairman to be the special guest referee.
He'd love that. And you've got a great commentator there at Tranmere as well, Adam Sidorn, isn't it? Does the commentary for you guys. He'd be, I'm sure he'd make a great wrestling commentator as well.
I'm sure he'd do very well.
Lee, one last question from myself before we move on. Tranmere Rovers memories. What's one of your favourite memories from Prenton Park and from supporting Tranmere Rovers, just as a fan yourself?
Well, I don't know if it's one of my favourite memories, but for John being a Tottenham fan, when we faced Spurs in the FA Cup, it was a very special boardroom that night, because Danny Livy was in there, Peter Moore, who at the time was chief exec of Liverpool, was in there, and of course, being around those kind of conversations, and at the end of that season ended up being the Champions League final it was, I felt as though I was so privileged to be there. But for me, it was getting promoted back into the Football League, because the emotion that was around the club, and Mark and Nicky had worked and still do work tirelessly. And to see the pendulum swing from when we first had that sending off at Wembley to then actually getting back up to the Football League, that for me was an unbelievably special memory. And to see it firsthand, what that meant to everybody was truly, truly special, truly special. But I think the best times are yet to come. I really, really do, and I'm excited for the future.
Wonderful, Lee. That's great to hear. Now, it'd be remiss of me if I didn't mention briefly Wrestling Travel as well. During lockdown, it's really helped me out by being able to chat on the Wrestling Travel podcast with both Danny and JC.
No one's even inviting me to come on the Wrestling Travel podcast.
I said, mate, I'm surprised you haven't been involved somehow. Yeah, I know the guys have done a great job for you, keeping the Wrestling Travel brand out there and getting the name out there. JC's done a great job in the States of doing all the lockdown sessions, and Danny as well, getting all the great guests on. It's been a joy to speak to people like Al Snow and Georgia Smith on the podcast. I just wanted to say them guys have done a great job, and thanks so much for having me involved with that. And just before we go on, we're going to talk about some other bits of the Premier League and everything from this week, Champions League as well. We've had a really busy week, so we're going to go on to that in a second. But before we do, we'll just show you a little bit of what Lee's Wrestling Travel Company can do for you. So check this out.
Please check out Wrestling Travel. They're a great sponsor for us. They help us with so many different events, so many different traveling inquiries. They are the greatest. They've been seen at Starcade, Warrior Wrestling, you name it. Wrestling Travel is one of the premier traveling organizations for pro athletes such as ourselves.
was a nice free plug, wasn't it? I wasn't expecting that. Thank you very much.
Nice little surprise for you.
When we can get the fans back for the events, honestly, what we had planned for last year's WrestleMania was absolutely unbelievable in terms of some of the special guests, and the fact that we couldn't do it because of what's happening. But my gosh, when we're back, we're going to plan some. We've got some really, really cool things planned, and also working on something called FanVid as well, in which a lot of the wrestling talent, you'll be able to get some video shout outs from the talents as well. But no, thank you very much for that. And Mike, thank you for all your hard work on the podcast, and also to JC, Danny, and the rest of the team. Very proud of them, done a wonderful job.
Brilliant stuff, mate. Great to hear. And just looking at the comments briefly there's some shout outs. JC's checking out all the soccer information that we're putting out this week. And the Mystic Mad Dog shout out there from Mad Mac Davis as well, with his handshakes and hot dogs. Great to see Mac tuning in, and all these guys checking out the soccer news, the UK football information. And we'll move straight on, guys, and we'll have a bit more of a chat now as we go on to the Champions League from this week. So, it's been an interesting week in the Champions League. So let's just run through the results first of all from this week. So Real Madrid progressed 4-1 on aggregate against Atalanta. Man City went through 4-0 against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Bayern Munich against Lazio was 6-2 on aggregate, and Chelsea progressed 3-0 against Atletico, which sets up the quarter-final draws that you can see over my face right now. So, obviously, I'll let John Scott take it away. John, what did you think about the draw for the Champions League and the matches that took place this week? What were your opinions on that, my friend?
Well, I think the draw. I've got a Liverpool fan who lives right beside me here, and he was actually really happy with Real Madrid. He thinks that your lot have got a chance. To be honest, he thinks they're on their last knees with aging players. So he's very happy with the draw and where it goes to after as well. So he's quite confident, Mike. So I don't know if you are as well, but it's almost like Liverpool have come back when it comes to Champions League. But yeah, it's. I suppose, last year, Bayern Munich and Paris in the final. Obviously, they've got another big turnout now as well. That'll be very interesting to see. Paris Saint-Germain, they're in that Man City area where what they really want more than anything is to have their first one, and they've invested some serious wonga into trying to get that, because believe me, the French league. Our old manager Pochettino, I think he won a trophy within 10 days. And I think that it's pretty much a given that for them in that league, they're punching above their weight every time. But the main focus for them is Champions League. So they come close. That's who I've got my money on, though, is Paris Saint-Germain this season. I think they're looking. I know a lot of people say they don't come up against the best every week, but they've kind of proven it now that when it comes to the showdown, they can put a performance in. And some of their players, Mbappe and the rest of it, mate, they are at that right level. I mean, regardless of where you say they play in, a weaker league or whatever else, when it comes up to it, they're that good.
Excellent. And Lee, are you supporting Porto now there after taking up residence in Portugal?
Well, you know what? I mean, maybe if I can't get into the Tranmere team, maybe I'll try and become a Portuguese resident by default.
Get in with one of them.
But I mean, I have to say, in terms of the Champions League, I know that they haven't been doing very well in the league itself, but I've got a sneaky suspicion that the concentration for Liverpool is going to be the Champions League, and I think they're going to do it this year.
I certainly hope so. I think, as John just mentioned briefly, drawing Real Madrid is obviously a tough match, but any match in the quarterfinal of the Champions League is going to be tough at this stage. And as you've said, we're due a little bit of good luck, I'd say, after some of the dreadful performances we've had recently. A little change of format there. Oh, that's better. I can see myself now. I've just noticed in the background as well, I've got my son's got a half Tranmere Liverpool scarf from a pre-season friendly a few seasons ago, so that's up for you, Lee, as well in the back. Well, Champions League looking good, progressing. So the quarter-final matches are going to be played on the 6th and 7th of April. The and then the reverse of the tie, 13th and 14th. The semi-finals on the 27th of April and the 4th of May, and we've got the final to look forward to on the 29th of May. So, there's a chance of there being a couple of English teams contesting it out in the final there, but it's certainly going to be interesting to see how things go in the next few weeks. I think moving on from that, we'll go straight onto the UEFA Europa League, and I'll let John open this up because obviously, there was some there were some interesting results. One I noticed as well was Rangers were unfortunate to go out with 2 red cards there, and they went out to Sparta Prague. But John, take it away, mate. Tell us what happened to Tottenham this week, because they looked like they were going good and aiming for that as a cup for them, and then it just doesn't seem to have worked out for you, mate.
You expect me to answer that? I think everyone's asking that same question, mate. What went wrong? But the interesting thing is, Jose before the game, he kept saying, 2's not enough. He kept saying it before, and obviously, most Spurs fans, I'm sure the players as well, by the end of it, were thinking, this is a piece of cake. I'm sure of it. I know Jose's got a lot of the blame for it, but I think, Hugo Lloris came out with some interesting remarks in the week, and I think that the players have got to hold their hands up as well. It's not just down to Jose. I know that a lot of people will say, he sat back too much, or we didn't go for it enough, but some of our best players, they weren't there. They weren't like turning up on the day, I felt. And I don't know. I mean, you come off that result against Arsenal, your rivals. You think, okay, we can get something back this week. In the week, we'll be in the Europa. I think a lot of people, we've spoke about it loads of time on this show, Mike, where people are saying, Jose's there to win trophies. That's what he does. I'm starting to think now that if Jose can't do it, who on earth can? To be quite honest with you, obviously we've got ourselves in the League Cup final, but I'm not in any way sort of geared towards us winning that at the moment, the way things are going. I'm hoping the game I'm watching now, there's a bit of a bounce back, that the players show up and show a bit of character. It'll take a lot, but, get another good run going. I mean, today's results kind of helped us a little bit. So that's still available, but it's very disappointing, because the hard thing for me as a Spurs fan is, obviously a couple of years ago we were in the Champions League final. Forget the League Cup final, we were in the Champions League, and it's just a bit of a shame of the decline. But sometimes you have to go back to go forward, and I think that although people say Daniel Levy made the wrong decision with Poch, I think it's easy to say that now, but at the time, I remember it very well, and I was quite close to a lot of stuff. I think that the players had lost faith by that point. I don't think Pochettino really had much else to do there as well. I think he felt that he needed to go away to have another ambition somewhere else as well. So I don't think keeping Pochettino would have changed too much to our circumstances, given some of the results that were going on that season. But anyway, I'm talking very broad here. I'm going off on a tangent. All in all, it was a diabolical result. I couldn't believe it. 2-2 was enough. Goes to extra time. You're thinking, okay, we'll just wrap this up. Please, somebody just get a goal. It didn't happen. They ended up scoring, and we come back with towels between our legs. We're out. So that's the end of that one.
Oh, unlucky, John, unlucky. And other teams, Arsenal did well enough to progress. So the quarterfinals, Lee, are going to be Arsenal versus Slavia Prague, Granada versus Man United, Ajax versus Roma, and Dynamo Zagreb versus Villarreal. So are there any fixtures, Lee, that catch your eye that you're looking forward to watching at all?
Well, I think before we get to that, Mike, I guess for me, what was worse, Joe Hart's social media or Tottenham's display? It was very interesting to see what Joe put out on his social media. Yeah. Obviously, some sort of social media person got fired the next day. That's for sure. But,
it's happened before.
Yeah. But no, it's going to be. I mean, I have to say is that. From meeting the Tottenham board when we played them, they were magnificent with us. They were really, really good bunch of people, and obviously Poch that day played a full strength team against us. He was obviously worried when we were 6 down, and obviously decided to bring Harry Kane on. But you can understand that, I guess. But no, it was. So I mean, I like to see Spurs do well, but I don't know. I can't see Man City doing the quadruple, and I do think there's going to be something that's going to stop them. And why not Spurs? Why can't Spurs beat them? So appreciate that's going off on a bit of a tangent there, but in terms of Europe, I mean, it's going to be an interesting one, I suppose, in terms of what's next. But I suppose John won't care now that Spurs are out.
No, well, I mean, I'll still be watching. The thing is, I'm not a huge fan of the Europa Cup anyway, if I'm completely honest. But it's one of those things I used to be, but when you've been in the Champions League, it is hard to get that back, to be, what do they call it? My Arsenal friends who used to always play Champions League, they used to call it the Emmerdale Farm Cup. That's where we are now, Thursday night action. But, if we'd have won it, of course, I'd have been happy. I think most Spurs fans, if you ask them, mate, they just want a trophy. They don't care how we get it, even if we have to play messy football that we're seeing at the moment. Not the most attractive, not the real Spurs way to dare is to do and all the rest of it. But if they get a trophy, I think that's all we're asking for.
Excellent. So a couple of the ties, guys, are looking good for the next round. That Ajax versus Roma match, I think, will be an interesting one. And, Arsenal and Man United both got decent draws, I'd say. I think they avoided the sort of more dangerous of the options. It could be an interesting next round of the tournament. And as we said about the Champions League as well, it could end up being an all-English, semi-final in that one as well. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled. In just a moment's time, guys, we are going to cover the small amount of Premier League matches that we've had this weekend. But before that, we're just going to have a little look at what we've got coming up on Powered 4 in the next week. A brand new show coming out. So let's take it away.
Me do my two-step.
So wonderful to see their first time ever is going to be on Powered 4 TV. Looking forward to seeing that. Looking forward to Franco Varga versus Suicide Ahead. It was absolutely amazing contest. And our good friend Stewie Palmer did have the chance to watch that show and has done a great little preview of it for this week. So looking forward to seeing that drop on Powered 4 TV. Stewie as well has just appeared in the comments, Lee, and he said, whatever you do, don't mention St. Yates Day. So I think he's talking about
we can talk about it if you'd like. I'm not sure Everton fans want to talk about it, but we can talk about it.
I was there with the Tranmere Rovers fans that day on the wooden seats. Was it the Bullens Road end we were sitting at? And I think all the goals went in at that end, didn't they?
I mean, what a performance that was. Well, what's really interesting actually is if you read the programme from that game, it actually talks about Everton's new stadium. And of course, now it looks like it's actually going to happen. So it's been, 20 years in the making?
That's it. They've been planning it for a long time. On our first pilot episode, we did have added time. I think I actually had the programme from that match to show Stu, and it had me tickets inside it from the game. So, yeah, he was particularly happy about that. Another point Stu's made, which is interesting, guys, is that Slavia Prague should be kicked out after the despicable actions from some of their players. So that was in the match with Rangers, wasn't it? So, just touching upon that issue briefly, there's no room for that in European football, I believe, or football worldwide. And, but I don't know what the current ruling is about stuff like that. But definitely poor form from Prague, from what I saw there. So, something that needs to be investigated, I'd say, and definitely looked at. Whether they'll be, I doubt they'll be kicked out the tournament, Stu, but it's definitely something that needs investigating. And we'll move straight on to the Premier League, chaps, because there's not been too many matches this week, and then we've got a break next week for the internationals. So let's just have a little look at the Premier League table as it stands. So Man City look like they're on cruise control, and they're just going to take the title here. Looking at the bottom half of the Premier League as well, we were saying, the other week, Lee, we mentioned looks like Sheffield United and West Brom. I've not been having a good time at all. It looks like those guys are going to be getting relegated. But Fulham have still got a ray of light at the moment, and it does help for them that Newcastle a bit of dropping points. So just looking at the results from the weekend, Leeds got a win against Fulham there, 2-1, which, Leeds on any day can show up and be the most entertaining side in the league. So good for them for that. Brighton beat Newcastle 3-0. So now that is huge, because Fulham and Newcastle now are so close together that Brighton picking up that win takes them a little bit away from from that zone there. Look at that. And Fulham now, they played one more game, but they're close, only 2 points behind Newcastle now, and their form has been dreadful recently. Lee, just going to you, what are your opinions at the bottom of the league at the moment? Who do you think is going to be involved in that battle come the last day of the season, which actually is Newcastle versus Fulham on the last day of the season? Who do you think will be in trouble?
Well, first of all, I think it's going to be the first time that Allardyce has ever been relegated from the Premier League. I think it's fair to say that, and again, this is nothing personal to any West Brom fans, etc. But I think it's fair to say that it's going to be very difficult for West Brom to stay in the league now. I thought Sheffield United's decision to mutually, shall we say, part with Chris Wilder was a very strange one, because I do think that he would have got Sheffield United back into the Premier League straight away. You can see that by the fact that, for example, Norwich stuck with their manager. There's a lot to say about continuity if you know that there's the right underpins there. But if you were to, again, I'm not allowed to bet on football for obvious reasons, but if I could, I think Fulham will stay up. I think Fulham will pip Newcastle to it, because from what I could see, the Newcastle team seems as though they've got a lot of thought-provoking stuff they need to be saying to one another to try and get out of the predicament they're in. Whereas I think Fulham do have a little bit of form. I appreciate that, obviously lost to Leeds, but I can see them doing some stuff. Whereas Newcastle, I think it's going to be a rocky road coming up for them.
Certainly. I was just going to say as well, we've had a few interesting comments in the comments section today. We will get back to all the questions at the end of the show, and anything that's been posed to Lee, obviously we'll ask him at the end of the show today. Probably the most entertaining fixture over the weekend, I thought, was the West Ham United versus Arsenal game. And I'll go to John about this one, obviously being the London clubs. Did you get a chance to watch the game this afternoon, John? And what did you think about that one?
Yeah, I was watching it. I was surprised how those goals were flying in for West Ham. I've got to be honest with you. I mean, it was odd, because they didn't look like they were really that in control, even though they were 3 up before nobody's business. And obviously, there was a quick kick. I'm talking all over the place here. Kick taken Trent Alexander style, for Liverpool when he took that corner that time. That's how they did it. Very innovative. And I thought, what, David Moyes is gonna, he's gonna stick in, but like for some reason they played like the final minute of a game, which is normally what Tottenham do, and just tried to hold off every attack coming their way. And I thought once the first goal went in, you could tell West Ham were a little bit shaky after that. And, I could, to be honest with you, I could actually see Arsenal coming back into it just because of how they were setting up. But yeah, it's obviously a good result for a lot of clubs around it, because again, it leaves it so open. It's so tight. It just goes to show you how bad a lot of these teams have done this season in terms of consistency, because the fact that the top 4 is still very, very open speaks volumes, because you've only got to go down the points and have a look. But West Ham, I think whatever way you look at it this season, it's got to be seen as a successful season. I mean, any West Ham fan that's going to be like moaning now is, I think they're well punching above their weight. I don't think anybody expected them and David Moyes to do this well. So, kudos to him. He's had a lot of stick in the past, But he's doing well with his team, and they haven't exactly spent. They had spent a lot of money in the past where they were supposed to do well, but this time, they haven't done that so much with the checkbook. But he's getting the best out of the players. This is as close as I've seen David Moyes back to his old Everton days in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I thought the game today was excellent. There was one moment in it where Declan Rice was really trying to drive West Ham on, and that was inspirational stuff. That, and as well, Odegaard had a cracking game for Arsenal. He's really shone in the last couple of matches that I've seen them have. Surprise result 3-3. Lingard as well has had a bit of a resurgence since he's gone to West Ham. He's looked a lot better. But yeah, great game, great to watch, and it could have gone either way in the end as well. Both teams had chances in the last sort of 10 minutes that were, there was saves being made, people hitting the post, hitting it just wide, and it was a great game, probably my favourite of the weekend that I've watched, to be honest. But let's move on as well, because it's not just been Premier League action we've had. We've also had the FA Cup going on this weekend as well, which has been exciting today. So we've had the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Bournemouth played against Southampton. It was 3-0 to Southampton there. Unlucky from Bournemouth, the Championship side, who've battled valiantly to get there. But from what I've heard, Redmond had an absolute cracking game today and scored 2 there. Now, yesterday's match was Everton versus Man City, so our local boys, Everton. Chris, who's not here today, and Stu were both watching that one, I know. So I did get a few reports through as it was going on. But I think Everton, unfortunately, just a couple of people had said on social media that Everton were playing for penalties in that one. But I thought Everton did a valiant job of battling against City and really keeping them at bay right up until it must have been about 82 minutes or something when City finally broke the deadlock there with, an important goal for them. It was a great save by the goalie, palmed it onto the crossbar, didn't he? And then Gundogan was the fastest one to react with the follow-up with the diving header. And, I felt, as much as I'm a Liverpool fan, I felt a bit bad for Everton because they'd done a good job keeping City at bay. It was one of City's quieter matches of the season. And obviously, that was when the De Bruyne suddenly appeared and netted one as well. So a 2-0 there, which has set up the semi-finals is going to be Man City playing Chelsea and Southampton playing Leicester. We also had, obviously, Chelsea put Sheffield United to the sword. And that was another game that could have gone either way. Sheffield United really, I thought, a great effort from them. And Brewster had a chance just before Chelsea scored their second. Brewster just put it wide. And John, we spoke about Ryan Brewster last week, how he hasn't really had a chance to perform at Sheffield United or hasn't performed at his best. And that was a close chance. We might have been singing a different story if he'd managed to net that one. Did you catch that game at all?
No, I didn't. I only saw the highlights of that one. So, I'm a little bit unfamiliar. But, yeah, just to add more to that, I mean, looking at the draw, I think most people, I suspect, will think that City or Chelsea are probably the two favourites there. But I've got a feeling, like Leicester, the one thing that's missing, maybe is that cup for them. They've done the league, and if you look at it, Brendan's done a brilliant job with him, the football they play. I wish we were playing football like that. I'm jealous. And I've got a feeling if there's one team that could turn up on the day and beat Man City in the finals, and I don't have this much faith in my own club at the moment, I would say Leicester on their day, the way they play, they could give a lot of problems to City. So I wouldn't rule them out, quite frankly. And you know what? You never know. Southampton, how they've managed to get there is amazing as well. I mean, they had obviously had that terrible result at the beginning. Then they had a really good patch. People were expecting them to be, at least in the top 10. They've obviously dropped off. But obviously a cup run, mate. I mean, it's what fans want. Ultimately, I know there's no fans there now, but I'm telling you, at home, they'll be sitting there hoping that they get all the way to the finals.
Yeah, exactly. And the final result, obviously, from the FA Cup was just finished about, an hour ago now, was Leicester defeated Man United 3-1. So I know Sonny is going to be on later on with Games and Graps pre-show for WWE Fastlane. Make sure to check that out. That's going to be here on Powered 4 at 9 o'clock. But his team today, Man United, let him down a little bit. Lee, did you get a chance to catch any of the Leicester-Man United match at all?
Well, I did, because I thought you guys might ask me about it. It was the most amount of Premier League football I've ever seen was today, to be honest with you. I guess, just quickly touching on the West Ham game. I know that Frisco Flames are a big West Ham fan. Great question before. I just thought that summed up Arsenal's season, that 90 minutes. Summed up Arsenal's season completely. But yeah, it's really interesting for me watching Premier League football compared to what I'm seeing with Tranmere all the time. But I don't know. I just think that as you go lower down the pyramid, the football's becoming more exciting because the teams in the Premier League all seem to be playing the same kinds of style. And I appreciate I'm obviously semi-biased on that, but obviously Leicester played very, very well against Manchester United, and what Brendan Rodgers has done there, I think, is absolutely fantastic. The style of football, again, you look at the players that they've lost, but they've managed to, Chilwell, Maguire, of course. I think the thing that was really interesting to me was you look at someone like Johnny Evans, and I think he's a Rolls Royce of a defender. And I'm surprised that, you look at when obviously Manchester United let him go all those years ago, and I wonder if they're regretting that now.
Yeah, definitely.
I certainly think Sonny would have had something to say about that this afternoon because, he will not be a happy bunny about that one because I think he was banking on them taking the W there. But, FA Cup looking exciting. Man City, Chelsea, Southampton, Leicester, a couple more good ties to watch there. And then, the FA Cup final still is a special day. We spoke about this just the other week, how the pageantry of the FA Cup, how it used to just be a full day, the FA Cup final, Lee. And I know Tranmere have certainly had some good runs in the FA Cup. I remember a match I attended was the Southampton versus Tranmere match. I don't know if John Scott will remember that quite as well, but it was 3-0 to Southampton at half time with the Premier League team, and Tranmere managed to come out in the second half and scored 4 against them, absolutely put them to the sword. And that was chaos, pitch invasion and everything, Lee, wasn't it?
That was just that. We had some phenomenal cup runs. We really, really did. And of course, accumulating when we played Leicester in the League Cup final, it was very, very special times. And of course, we've done well in the cup competitions recently. Getting to obviously we played Tottenham, we played Manchester United, and it is the FA Cup's a very special tournament. It really, really is. And as you rightly said, Mike, I remember going around to my nan and granddad's house when I was I think it was Nottingham Forest versus Spurs, and it was such a special day, and it's a special competition, and they should be taking it seriously. Personally, and maybe this is not the most popular thing to say, but I think a Champions League space should go to the winner of the FA Cup, because all of a sudden I think it would truly bring back the magic of the cup.
A very good point. I think it would be. I would just love it to have that same sort of thing that it used to have. I remember when Liverpool, Man United, and everyone showed up in the new suits. Liverpool had the cream suits, But just a special day. It started with live and kicking in the morning, and there was Gordon the Gopher was telling you he was going to be playing and all that. The nostalgia of it, I just love it to be like that again. And Stewie Palmer made a good point the other week when he was on with us, saying BT Sport have really made a good effort to try and push it like that and have it as a whole day event. And I just think it'd be great if they could make it just bring that sort of novelty and the specialness of it back. But we've just got a few more things to discuss before we move on to our last topic today. So I'm just going to hit you guys with a few little bits from the news, and you can tell me what you think about them. And then we'll cover England's World Cup qualifiers that we've got coming up next week. And we'll also maybe make some predictions on them matches. That'll be quite interesting to see. But first of all, let's just have a little look at this. So news from this week that I had. Interesting one. West Ham have hit the post more than any people this season. 19 times they've hit the post now in the Premier League. So that was one of my most interesting points. John, also, I'm just going to go to you now because it seems we've had a goal.
Yeah, well, I've completely missed it.
I'm sorry, mate.
I'm doing a great cami. I'm literally on the cami spot today. I'd literally see that fly up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to check it out. Because the game's been dull. I've been looking down at it and it's been dull. We literally didn't have any shots before then. But I believe I'm just trying to have a look now. They're just showing a replay. I believe Mr. Kane was the goal scorer. But literally, the stats of this game so far is we've had one shot on target. That's the one that's gone in. It's the only shot on target the whole game. Even off target, it's the only attempt. So it shows how good that game's going, doesn't it, at the moment?
So a bit of a slow one, but you must be happy to be in front there because Villa have had
Mate,
a good season so
take
far.
a result. I'll take a result today. I don't care how they do it. Just get a result.
That's it. A stat I heard before, John, was that Chelsea had actually had no shots on target when they scored. It was an own goal, wasn't it? So they'd had no shots on target and scored one goal. So there's some good odds. But another piece of news I heard this week, it was in the newspapers today, I think, saying that Pickford is injured. Now, I hadn't heard that, but Pickford injured and is going to be out for six weeks and could miss the Euros. Have either of you guys heard that at all?
I have heard that, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure Stu and Chris would be able to tell us about that. Interesting in the comments as well, Ross Alcock's just popped in. When are you making your debut up front, number 50, he said.
Well, I think that's the nicest thing Ross Alcock's ever said to me. But,
I think there were other comments in there as well, but
I'm sure there is there as well for sure. But I mean, do you know what was quite embarrassing? We were playing in a charity game at Prenton Park, and I actually had a broken foot, and I knew it was broken. But it was the first opportunity for me to play at Prenton Park. I took that many painkillers, took everything. I thought nothing is going to stop me from. That's more like it. And I thought nothing's going to stop me from playing. And I think I played about 25 minutes, and then ended up literally being carried off the pitch, and I ended up at Wembley on crutches. So literally get the stairs to Wembley with crutches. And literally, the chairman looked at me, and I just looked at the chairman. And, you know, when you get that glance, he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I never made a fool of myself." But no, it's I'm sure number 50 will make a comeback. Not that anybody else will want to see it, of course.
Oh, and also Chris has just updated. Does Everton haven't announced anything on Pickford as of yet? And I think Stewie made some sort of comment about saying that England have better goalkeepers than Pickford anyway. Surprised he's there you have it.
I think Nick Pope.
Pope, Johnson, and Henderson are better.
Pope's magnificent. I think he deserves his opportunity, deserves his chance, and he's been phenomenal for his club. And I do. I think it's a real opportunity for Pope to grab that jersey for the Euros for me.
That's one interesting piece of information I saw this week was a team based completely on stats of who England should play in the Euros, and Pope was the goalkeeper in that from the stats. So that was quite interesting. Other little bits of news: Wijnaldum to join Barcelona. That's been rumoured for quite a while now, but that was really heavy in the papers this week, saying that it is going to happen. So Gini's been a great servant for Liverpool, great player, very he's really appreciated by the fans. He's been great for us for a couple of seasons now after coming from Newcastle, and it'll be if he does leave to Barcelona, it'll be a shame. I know his contract does run out this season, I believe, so that will be a shame if he goes to Barcelona. But he's been a great player for Liverpool. Also, in Liverpool news this week, there's rumours that Virgil van Dijk may play for Holland in the Euros in the summer, which is something that was in the newspapers today. And the quote was that Liverpool are horrified by that. Obviously, Klopp came out last week and said that both, I think it was Gomez and Van Dijk, wouldn't be playing for their national team, so due to their injuries. But then there's a possibility he might be playing for Holland now. So I think that would be a bit of a rushed comeback. What did you think about that, John? Did you hear about that?
I did. Yeah, it's so many games this season because of the whole fixture pile up that they've had to do, and then obviously if they're going to do this international stuff as well, like even if you're not injured, I still think like fitness wise it's a massive ask of these players, because then you've got to get back again as well, and before you know it you're in pre-season. I mean, like I know that a lot of people will say, who cares, they're on 200 300k a week, make them play. But if you want them playing at this high level week in week out, and then people turn around and say, why didn't they have a good game, and consistent, this is probably the reason why. I think obviously it's a very club versus international as always, and in this day and age, clubs, I think, are becoming ever more powerful over that. I can almost see it going like the cricket route sometimes. We'll just have like our own international team separate away from everything else, like an under-21s or something. But yeah, it'll be interesting. For you, Mike, I should imagine you're very worried if he's going to turn up there. I to be honest with you, I think he'll go, but I don't think he'll play every game. I think they'll just take him.
I think it's a bad idea to play him in a very competitive tournament like that after he's missed so much action with a serious injury. But it's become a lot different these days with the with club and country things, and it'll be interesting to see. Have they decided where the Euros are even going to be played yet? Bearing in mind that it's coming up in the first fixture's 13th of June, but only last week we spoke to Dean very briefly, and we were saying that it could be all held in the UK. There's been rumours abound, hasn't there? Has anything been decided about that yet? Did anyone hear?
Well, I do know that I believe it's June 22nd. England are playing at Wembley, and my understanding is that the government is hoping that that's going to be the big sign that says the UK is ready for business by having a full stadium of fans. So whether or not that connotates into other fixtures also being in the UK, but I'm sure there's some political ramifications whether or not they want that to happen.
That'll be huge. That game against the Czech Republic on the 22nd, won't it? That'll be, I'll have to book that off work now, I think. And guys, we'll just speak about England briefly. So the World Cup qualifiers are next weekend. The squad has been picked. Gareth Southgate's picked his squad. Now, there have been some interesting omissions from the squad. Probably most importantly for myself, they've dropped Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is a bit of a surprise. What did you guys think of that?
I don't think it's a surprise, personally. I think what this season has shown you, don't be wrong, he's a phenomenal talent, a phenomenal player, but he needs someone like Virgil aside him to be able to compete at the very best. And there's no doubt he's phenomenal attacking, but I think he probably needs to improve on his defensive play, if you ask me.
Definitely. And John, what did you think of that one?
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with Lee there, because I think if you look, we've got a decent array of talent coming up. We've got James Justin, you've got Lamptey as well, I think's coming on really well. So I don't know. I just think I kind of like the fact that Southgate is, I'm not massive on Southgate, but I'm kind of glad that he's not just going for the reputation, which we've seen so much of in England. Like whenever the squads get picked, it's always done more on reputation or an expensive signing, or if someone's moved in the summer, that kind of thing. So I'm kind of, in a way, I think it keeps everybody on their toes a little bit more. And I think just going on this season, I think there are maybe better, more consistent fullbacks that we've got in England at the moment. So I wasn't too shocked by that.
Yeah, and I mentioned the comments there as well from the Everton lads are in the comments again. They were saying as well, Godfrey's not been picked to go, but they were saying that he's should have possibly gone. I think I read in the newspaper that Godfrey, the reason possibly they're not taking him is because he's played in so many different positions, whereas Southgate was looking for more of a specific role. So it was quite an interesting one. I'll just go through a little bit for you guys. So the defenders they're taking are Maguire, Stones, Mings, and other players who've been added to the team was Ollie Watkins has been put into the squad, which is quite an interesting one. I know Stu's a big advocate of Ollie Watkins, and he's had a great season at Villa, hasn't he, so far? So interestingly, he's been included. But Patrick Bamford, the lead striker, has not been put in the squad. So what's your opinion on that, guys? Who would you have taken out of those two fellas? Let John go first. Ollie.
You go first. Go on.
I was hoping you were going to start that one. Do you know what I mean? It's not a bad idea, because I think sometimes if you take Bamford, I think there's a little bit more pressure for him to actually start some games or come on more. Whereas I think Ollie Watkins, I don't think there'll be that added pressure for Southgate to have to put him in certain games and position. Like I kind of think it's about time we take a squad where, you know, not every player is a superstar. Like sometimes you just need players that can come on and affect the game. And he might look at him and in that way and think he can do that more than what Bamford can. Because the thing is with Bamford is that he's got a very particular setup with Leeds, and it's almost like it's played for him. Whereas in England, that's probably not going to be the case. You know, you've got other options, different style wingers. They're not going to be playing that same sort of football. But Bamford has had a good season, make no mistake about it. But I think I don't think it's a bad idea taking somebody who's maybe not to everybody's liking. Maybe there are eyebrows raised, but I think maybe Southgate just thinks he can come on, make more of an impact as a sub.
Certainly. Great comment there from Chris as well. Ask John how Dyer has got into the England squad.
Yeah, I don't even know the answer to that because, I mean, obviously, the thing is at the start of the season, I know everybody was saying, oh, Tottenham's record defending, they're doing fantastic. But you've got to remember, we were playing 10 defenders. And so anybody who was a centre-back for us then is always going to come out looking good because most of our midfielders were playing centre-back. For me, Eric Dyer, I don't see him as a natural centre-back. I never really have done. I think he's a DM. Even when Jose was at Man United, he was touting him for that position, not as a centre-back. But obviously, I think maybe he thought this season he was going to, you know, make that his all. I mean, he's made the squad, so you can't really say he hasn't done that. But I am surprised because I wouldn't take him on his form. Let's put it that way.
It's to be honest,
he's a utility player, though, isn't he? He's a utility player and playing a variety of positions. And
I think as well. Sorry, mate, to cut you. I was going to just add that I think as well, it's like it's probably more to do with his character, the way he is in the dressing room. I think he's got that sort of mentality that maybe managers like. I think that's why Jose likes him. He's always had that closeness with him, and I think it's his attitude that he brings to the dressing room more than anything else.
Yeah.
Just going back to the Watkins debate. I mean, again, I appreciate I'm a huge advocate for going down the pyramid, but you look at where Watkins was at and what he's doing now. Obviously, it was at Exeter, wasn't he? And obviously, we played yesterday, and I think it's fantastic. You know, there's so much talent as you go down the pyramid, and you don't need to have some sort of fancy name to be good. You know, there's so much talent down the pyramid, but people need a chance, and he's a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one as well, Steve would beat us up if we didn't mention this, is that obviously Jamie Vardy came from a lower division, didn't he? And, you know, look how well he's done. Just testament to show, you know, if you give people a chance, they will, you know, they will take it. Guys, we'll just run through the fixtures then that England have got over the next week or two. I'm actually quite excited to see England play because it has been a little while since I've been excited for England, and coming up to this big tournament, you know, the Euros, when I was younger, was such a big thing, especially Euro 96. That was a huge one when we had played Scotland there. And Ross has been in the comments there mentioning about England. They're going to be playing Scotland again at the Euros, saying there, I think he said Sheridan's is going to destroy England's defence or something along those lines. But we've got these. We've got these friendlies.
That's saying about my bald spot, Ross Alcott. There you go.
So we've got these couple of friendlies coming up next week. So what we'll do is we'll just have a look. So on Thursday, the 25th of March, we've got England versus San Marino. Now, when I was younger,
that's going to be a tough one. That one. That's going to be a tough game.
That used to be the fixture on there. Was it either FIFA or Pro Evolution Soccer where you'd end up winning about 18-0? It was always San Marino and Qatar who got destroyed on the old, on like the Sega Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo, wasn't it? So, yeah, give us a prediction, lads. What do you think the score's going to be? Lee, you go first. What are you predicting for England there?
I'm going to go 7-0.
7-0. John?
I'm just gonna go 4.
Just the 4.
Yeah, just the 4.
Well, I've seen San Marino play quite a few times, and they have improved. But so I'm going to go for 3-0 for that one. 3-0. It could be more. I'm not going to put any bets on, and obviously Lee's not allowed to put any bets on. On the 28th of March, on the Sunday, we've got Albania versus England. Lee, what do you think will happen against Albania?
Do you know what? It's not going to be the most exciting picture in the world, is it? I guess what do we get if we actually get the predictions right, Mike? You know,
we've got like a league going at the moment, but this is sort of outside the league because the predictions were meant to be based on the Premier League, but then this one is outside of it. So this will have to be some sort of private deal between us, and it'll probably involve some sort of maybe a little bit of the bubbly.
You know what? I think England will win again, but I think that'll be a 1-0 win. Harry Kane, just for John.
Harry on the score sheet. John, what do you think?
I'll go 3-1 on that one. By the way, Mike, how you can be saying you're really looking forward to these games, I do not know. I mean, just given the level of opponents, my goodness. Yeah, it just goes to show how tough it is being an international manager, because you get games like this and you're like, especially in this climate as well, how can you really gauge where your team is, your squad is when you're playing games like this? It is very, very difficult. Not to knock those teams, by the way, in those countries, but, you know, competitive is what it's all about, and that's where it, you know, I think we've got still some crazy record where we haven't done it when it comes to tournament. I think it's been ages since we've actually beat a top team in a competition, like within the top 6, I think, or top 8. I was reading it's been a long old time. So yeah, it is. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, I'm not a huge England fan, just because I just don't enjoy the level of games. But it would be nice to, I don't know, it'd be nice, I suppose, in the summer for something to look forward to, given everything that's happened, to go in with it. But these games, I mean, they're going to be a hard watch for me. Unless England put some serious goals in, I think they'll be a hard watch.
Hey, you never know, John. You might see a bit of rotation in the squad. You might get to see some young players playing for the first time. It could be a really reinvigorating time for to be an England fan. It could. Hey, you just never know. I'm going to go for 2-1 to England against Albania, and then the last match is on Wednesday, the 31st of March, which is England versus Poland, which I think will be the toughest match of the couple they've got there leading up to the Euros. And Lee, go on, give us a prediction for that one. That could be a tough one. That
surely Eric Dyer hat-trick, 3. Poland. No, I think we'll scrape that. I think that'll be a 2-0 victory, and I'm sure Eric Dyer will have at least 2 assists.
Oh mate, I don't know. I think I'll go 2-1 England.
I'm going to go for 2-0 to England in that one, but I think Poland will make it a tough game for us. But yeah, I think so. The Euros start on the 13th of June. We've got 2 more friendlies as well before the Euros, which is against Romania and Austria. So they're, you know, a step in the right direction there. And you know, I just remember when I was 11, it was Euro '96, and that was such an exciting time for English football. So I just hope that you know, that the country can get behind England this year, and that the team will play well, and we might have something. You know, who knows? Maybe Ant and Dec will re-release "We're on the Ball" or something.
Well,
keep it really, really exciting for us.
Surely you two should be creating some sort of Euro theme tune to be able to put out to the masses. Surely,
I think Mike and Stu could do a good duet. I think that's where we've got to lean to.
Chaz and Dave, it's Mike and Stu.
Yeah,
we should just make it up of clips from this show of our talking heads and try and make a song out of it. I'll leave some more musical to that, though, I think. All right, guys, excellent. Just before we head off, we'll just check. We've had so many great comments coming in throughout the show today. You know, everyone wants to chat to Lee and get involved. So let's just have a little look at any other comments that Rich. Big thank you to Rich as well, of course, our producer. He's been great. Graphics have been brilliant today, and obviously he's bringing up questions now. So these are the last couple of questions for Lee before we head off today. So Stu's Wrestling Podcast has put, what was his best memory as a fan and his favourite memory on the board at Tranmere?
Best memory as a fan. probably the first time I went to Wembley, and it was against Birmingham City in the Leyland Daft Cup. Unfortunately, we didn't win that day, but it was the first time that I'd been to Wembley with my dad. So that was a very special occasion, and that really kind of started off my love affair with Tranmere. In terms of favourite memory on the board, again, gosh, so many. Gosh, you really put this great questions to you. You really put me on the spot there in terms of favourite memory. Again, I've got to take it back to Wembley the first time, when just the emotion, and we were. At least I was anyway. I was crying my eyes out when we got back up to the league, and coming back into the Royal Box after being out there, and we were just all looking at each other, and the emotion between all of us was staggering, because it meant so much to us. And I don't think people realise how much Mark and Nicky have done behind the scenes for that football club. And again, I appreciate it sounds like I'm just kissing ass here, and I'm really not, because for those who generally know me, they know I'm not that kind of character. But the amount of hard work that goes on behind the scenes to be able to allow fans to experience those kind of moments. But that one was a very special moment to come back, and the fact that we were back in the Football League, it was very special.
Wonderful stuff. And what's this? Graham Fisher's back. Is Prenton Park home, or does Lee see a time when Tranmere have to move to take a step further? Interesting one.
That's a great question, Graham. I think it's been, I kind of hope it has. I've obviously not been in the UK for a while, but it is something that the club are considering in terms of what the next steps are. Because when the ambition of the football club isn't just to be a League One team, or we're trying to really take it far and beyond. But of course, the biggest difficulty is that you look at the wages in the Championship, and we've had a really close look in terms of what those wages look like. And for us to be able to compete, especially because what we've always tried to do is to have a top third budget, because we feel as though if we've got a top third budget in any league that we're in, we feel as though we've got an excellent chance of being able to get to that next step. But to get to that next step when it comes into the Championship, is you've got to have the commercialities really bang on. They've got to be excellent. And in my opinion, don't get me wrong, Prenton Park is, it's home. But in my opinion, and I'm not necessarily saying this is how all the people that from the associate director level above think, but if Tranmere want to really progress, I think it's important that we do look at that next step for a new stadium, because there's so many extras that can be achieved when it comes to the commercials. And our ambition has got to be continuing to move forward. As the chairman says, better never sleeps. And I've not got a crystal ball, but do I think we'll be in a new stadium? Yes, I do.
Excellent. You heard it here first. Brilliant stuff. And Justin Clapper, Big JC, coming from the States here. And forgive me if you've covered this, but what's the fan attendance situation over there? And what do you see it at in the near future? So Lee mentioned briefly, didn't you, about Wembley, but I'll let you answer that one, Lee. So tell them about the attendance at Prenton Park currently, and what's happening going forward.
First of all, can I say a massive shout out to Justin Clapper? He has been absolutely phenomenal in Wrestling Travel. He's an absolute unsung hero, and I'm sure I can say on behalf of everybody how much we all love Justin. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's smashing it. So he doesn't always get the praise he deserves, but thank you, Justin, for everything you're doing on that. In terms of the fans, I think the fans will come back. And I do genuinely think that what the government are saying for the first time, without getting all political on you, I do think that what they're saying in terms of those yardsticks for what will happen next, I do think that the fans will be back. And I do think that there is going to be a full capacity at Wembley on the 22nd and beyond. So hopefully we can get the fans back into the stadiums, because it's not the same. It really isn't the same. And don't get me wrong, I'm in a very fortunate position. If I was in the UK, that I could have gone to the games and at Wembley, but it's not the same. It is not the same without fans. And watching the Premier League this afternoon and seeing the fake noise and everything else like that. Literally. One of the chants that was being played on the Manchester United game. we're on our way to the Champions League. We're on our way. Well, it was the FA Cup. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's the same social media producer for Joe Hart that was working that today. I don't know, but it's just not the same. But the fans need to come back, because football is nothing without the fans, and the sooner they come back, the better. And of course, that's the same for wrestling as well, because the wrestling promotions are not the same without the fans either. I know WWE have done their Thunderdome stuff, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Oh, brilliantly. That's absolutely spot on, and I think that's a perfect way to end today's show, because it just says it all. Once we get the fans back, it's going to be special time. So I'd like to thank John Scott firstly for joining us there. Great one, John, as always.
You're welcome.
And,
thank you.
And a huge thank you, Lee, for joining us this evening. And we look forward to welcoming you back. Really honoured that you've shared all your thoughts about Tranmere, and I know all the fans and everyone who's commented will really appreciate it. Just a reminder for everybody, Sonny's going to be on with Games and Graps. It's going to be at 9 o'clock, so in about half an hour's time. They're going to be doing a pre-show, full fast lane for tonight, so make sure to check that out. I'll be checking that one out. It'll be a great show. And I believe next week for Added Time, we're going to be covering some of the England match stuff. And we do have a special guest who's set to join us, who is a Wolverhampton Wanderers fan next week. So that'll be Added Time, episode 8 next week, and we look forward to that. Just a thank you again to my guests and to everyone who's been watching today. I have been the Mad Dog Mike Angus. Make sure to check us out on Added Time every week, Sunday night at 7 o'clock. And we'll catch you with you next week, everybody. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having us. Take care. Stay safe. God bless.
You.
Jockeying for position. Neither man wants to give an inch, but something's got to give at some point.
Up and over goes Pack.